The man in the ice. The snow howled like a wounded animal as Dr. Marcus Hale leaned into the steering wheel, eyes squinting through the windshield. The wipers smeared more than they cleared, and visibility had dropped to nearly nothing. Outside, the world was a blur of white chaos. His car tires groaned under the weight of the storm. It was supposed to be a quick drive back from his late shift, but the blizzard had a different plan. Then he saw it. At first, he thought it was a large branch blown down by the wind, but as he inched closer, high beams cutting through the snow. Like twin knives, Marcus's breath caught in his throat. It was a person, a human body, lying motionless on the road, half buried in snow. His heart jolted, slamming the brakes. Marcus threw the gear into park and leapt out, the wind nearly knocking him back as he ran toward the figure. Snow immediately soaked into his shoes and cuffs, but he didn't care. He dropped to his knees beside the body, male, mid-30s maybe, face pale, lips blue, eyes shut. "Hey!" Marcus shouted over the wind. "Can you hear me?" No response. Instinct took over. Marcus checked the man's pulse. Faint, slow. He leaned closer, brushing away ice from the stranger's brow. There was a small cut at the hairline, dried blood frozen against his temple. His clothes weren't fit for the storm. Just a hoodie. Jeans and sneakers all soaked and stiff with cold. "No ID, no bag," Marcus muttered. "Who the hell are you?" But there was no time for questions. He had minutes, maybe less, before the man's body gave out completely. Grunting against the weight and resistance of the snow, Marcus dragged him to the car and bundled him into the back seat, covering him with emergency blankets. He cranked the heat as high as it would go. His hands trembled as he picked up his phone. No service. Damn it. There was only one option. Drive. The nearest hospital was 40 miles away, and the roads were already beginning to ice over. But Marcus didn't hesitate. He clutched the wheel with white knuckles and drove into the storm like the devil was chasing him. At St. Vincent's ER, the man was rushed in with full trauma protocol. Severe hypothermia, early-stage frostbite, a minor concussion, a gash on the head. Marcus stayed just long enough to make sure he was in capable hands, then collapsed in the hallway chair, soaked to the bone and shaking from adrenaline. The staff registered the man as a John Doe. No ID, no phone, no wallet. No one had reported a missing person matching his description. The police opened a case but didn't seem optimistic. Too many transient individuals drifted through the city. Some wanted to disappear. Marcus couldn't stop thinking about him. Over the next 3 days, Marcus returned to the hospital after each shift. He'd saved people before, countless lives in the ER. But this felt different. Maybe it was the timing. Maybe it was the look he'd seen flicker in the man's eyes for a split second before they closed. On the 4th day, Marcus arrived early, cradling 2 cups of black coffee. He pushed open the door to the patient's room and froze. The bed was empty. He turned to the nurse prepping charts nearby. "Where's John Doe?" She looked up casually. "Oh, he checked out last night." Marcus blinked. "What? He was barely able to speak 2 days ago," she shrugged. "He insisted he was fine, said a friend was picking him up." "A friend?" Marcus frowned. "Name? Name, no paperwork, just left, said to tell you thank you, that you saved his life." Marcus stared at the now neatly made bed, sheets folded, heart unsettled. There was no discharge signature, no transport record. It was as if the man had simply vanished. Why did it feel like the end of something that had only just begun? That night, the storm had finally broken. The sky was clear. Snowbanks lined the streets like sleeping beasts. Marcus drove home in silence, brain turning over every possibility. Who was he? A fugitive, an addict, a victim? Why had he left without a word? He pulled into the driveway of his small suburban home. The porch light glowed warmly, a stark contrast to the cold mystery gripping his chest. Inside, the house was quiet. He kicked off his shoes, dropped his keys on the counter and stopped. Something was wrong. The air felt off, warmer, like someone had just been there. Then he heard it, the soft clink of a spoon against ceramic. Marcus turned slowly toward the kitchen. A man was sitting at his table, drinking tea, calm, as if he belonged there. It was him, the stranger, from the snow, alive, awake, changed. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. "You," the man looked up and gave a tired, faint smile. "Took you long enough. How are you in my house?" The man stood slowly, setting his cup down with a quiet tap. "Don't worry, I let myself in. I didn't think you'd mind. After all, you saved my life." Marcus's fists clenched. "You broke into my house." "I didn't break anything." The man shrugged. "I just came back because I owe you." "Owe me what?" He stepped closer, his expression unreadable. "Not money, not gratitude, the truth." Marcus's chest tightened. "What truth?" The man tilted his head. "The truth about who I really am, and what someone close to you has done." Marcus didn't speak. He couldn't. His body was still, but his mind raced. The man pulled something from his coat pocket, an old, worn photo. He placed it on the table. Marcus didn't look at it yet. "You know him," the stranger said. "You just don't know what he did, or what I was sent to find out." "Sent? By who?" "Why me?" Marcus asked, voice hoarse. "Because your life's been built on a lie," the man said quietly, "and I'm here to burn the lie down." The kettle behind them whistled. The photo on the table fluttered from the steam. Marcus looked down and saw a face he recognized, someone he never expected, and his blood ran cold. The face in the photo. The photo on the table refused to sit still. Steam from the kettle curled around its edges as if trying to warn Marcus not to look. But it was too late. He stared down at it, his fingers trembling before they even touched the paper. There were two people in the photo. One was the man who now stood in Marcus's kitchen, the stranger he had pulled out of a snowbank just days. The other person was Marcus's father, younger, maybe in his 40s, but unmistakable. That strong jaw, the sharp gaze, the half-smile he wore when he thought he was the smartest man in the room. Marcus's knees buckled slightly. He pulled out a chair and sat down. "What is this?" he whispered. The man sat, across from him, calm, patient, as if he had all night. "That's the two of us, taken 20 years ago." Marcus shook his head. "That's not possible. My father never mentioned you. Never." "He wouldn't," the man said, leaning forward. "Because if he did, you'd start asking the wrong questions." Marcus narrowed his eyes. "You need to tell me exactly who you are." The man extended his hand, like they were meeting at a business dinner. "Name's Elijah Grant. Your father and we weren't just friends. We were partners. In a clinic overseas, humanitarian work, or at least that's what we called it." Marcus tried to recall anything his father had told him, but it was always vague. Just medical work abroad during the late 90s. Some war-torn country. Nothing specific. "What happened there?" Marcus asked. Elijah paused, then said, "Everything and nothing. Depends on which version you're ready to hear." Marcus frowned. "I want the truth." Elijah's eyes darkened. "Then buckle up. They had met in 1999, he explained, during a volunteer program in East Africa. Two doctors, young and full of purpose. Marcus's father, Dr. Henry Hale, was brilliant and charismatic. Elijah, idealistic but naive. They bonded quickly, shared the same goals, or so Elijah believed, but it wasn't long before Elijah began to notice things, shady shipments arriving at odd hours, missing medications, patients who disappeared after a certain visit, and Henry growing distant, secretive. "I thought maybe I was imagining it," Elijah said, "until I found the ledger. Your father wasn't just a doctor. He was selling high-grade medicine on the black market, stealing from the aid supplies, making a fortune. Marcus's mouth went dry. No, my dad, he's a good man. He saved lives. He covered his tracks well, Elijah said. That's how powerful men operate. They do both. Save, lives and destroy them. That way, no one ever asks the hard questions. Marcus stared at the photo again, his mind churning. His father had always been strict, even cold. But corrupt? No, it didn't fit. And what about you? Marcus asked. What did you do when you found out? I confronted him, Elijah said. Stupid, I know. I thought truth would win. He laughed, said I could leave if I didn't like it, but I couldn't leave, not after what I saw. What did you see? Elijah's voice dropped to a whisper. They killed a girl, Marcus, a child, because she recognized one of the smugglers your father was dealing with. I tried to report it. I tried to stop it. Marcus felt cold all over. What happened? Elijah looked away. I was beaten, left for dead in the desert. They thought I wouldn't survive. You're telling me my father tried to have you killed. I'm telling you the truth, Elijah said. Whether or not you believe it is up to you. Marcus felt like he was underwater. The room spun, slightly. Why now? He asked. Why show up now after all these years? Elijah took out another item from his coat, a sealed envelope, yellowed, worn, with the name Marcus Hale written in elegant handwriting. He's dead, Elijah said. Marcus looked up stunned. What? Your father died last week. Stroke. In his sleep. Left behind some secrets, including this. Marcus stared at the envelope as if it were a live grenade. His hands hovered over it but didn't touch. You're lying, he said quietly. He called me 2 days before Christmas. Said we'd meet in spring. He sounded fine. That's what secrets do, Elijah said. They let a man sound fine while he's rotting inside. Marcus finally picked up the envelope. It was sealed with wax, real wax. Who even did that? Any more? He broke it open with a slow tear and pulled out the letter. My son, if you are reading this, then I am gone, and the weight of truth has fallen into your hands. There are things I never told you, things I was too ashamed to explain. I wronged many people in my life, Marcus. I made choices no man should make. I tried to bury them, to bury Elijah. If he's alive, and if he found you, then I beg you, listen to him, not because he is blameless, but because he was the only one who never forgot what really matters. I am sorry for all of it. Your father, Henry. The letter trembled in Marcus's grip. He couldn't feel his fingers anymore. Elijah sat silently across from him, letting the silence stretch. Marcus read the letter again and again. Why didn't you go to the police? Marcus finally asked. Why come to me instead? I tried, Elijah said, but the people your father worked with, they still have reach. They'd erase everything. But you're his son, his only heir. You can get inside. Inside where? His accounts, his files, his secrets. Marcus frowned. I don't have access to anything. I haven't spoken to him in over a year. You will, Elijah said. Tomorrow morning his lawyer is going to call you. You've been named in the will. Marcus's jaw clenched. You're that sure? I'm not guessing, Elijah replied. I made sure of it. I've waited 20 years for this moment. Marcus leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling. Everything he thought he knew about his father, about his family, was cracking apart. How do I know you're telling the truth? He asked. Elijah stood, walked to the doorway, turned around slowly. You don't, he said. But the truth doesn't care whether you believe in it or not. It exists, and it waits. The next morning, just after 9 a.m., Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He stared at it for a long second before picking up. Dr. Hale, came a professional voice. This is Evelyn Crane, your late father's attorney. I'm sorry for your loss. I'd like to set up a meeting to discuss the contents of his will. You've been named as the primary heir." Marcus closed his eyes. He said, "Nothing, Dr. Hale," she prompted. He opened his eyes. "I'll be there," he said. That afternoon, Marcus arrived at the law office, a sleek glass building downtown. Inside, the office smelled of fresh leather and old money. Evelyn Crane, a silver-haired woman, with eyes like glass, greeted him with a handshake and handed him a thick manila folder. "The will is straightforward," she said. "He left you everything, the house, the assets, the accounts, and one private lockbox." "A lockbox," she nodded. "He insisted it be opened only by you, in person, alone." Marcus took the key she handed him. It was small, cold, engraved, with the number 63B. That night, Marcus drove to the private storage facility listed in the papers. It was in the industrial part of town, surrounded by warehouses and silent trucks. He opened Unit 63B. Inside, there were only three things: a weathered briefcase, a stack of old medical files, a black-and-white photograph of a girl in a hospital gown, smiling faintly. Marcus picked up the photo first. On the back it read, "Usher, 1999. She saw too much. I failed her." He stared at the name for a long moment. It felt like a ghost speaking. Then he opened the briefcase. Inside were two things: a ledger, old, faded, full of numbers, names, and drug. Inventory logs, a memory stick. Marcus pocketed both, his mind spinning. This was real, all of it. His father had lived a double life, and now Marcus was standing in the wreckage of both. Back home, Elijah was waiting on the porch, arms crossed. Marcus handed him the photo, the memory stick, the ledger. Elijah took them, then looked Marcus dead in the eye. "You're in now," he said. Marcus nodded. "I know." But neither of them noticed the black SUV parked a few houses down. Inside it, a man lifted a phone and made a single call. "They've opened the lockbox," he said. "Move to phase 2. The memory stick snowflakes drifted silently through the cold night air as Marcus sat at his kitchen table, the memory stick lying in front of him like a sleeping serpent. He hadn't plugged it in yet. Part of him didn't want to. Elijah sat. Across from him, the ledger open beside him, page after page of drugs, coded names, and payments in currencies from all over the world. "This ledger alone," Elijah said, tapping the pages, "could ruin powerful people. But the memory stick, that's where the real danger lies." Marcus stared at the small silver device. It looked so ordinary. "What's on it?" he asked. Elijah exhaled. "Everything your father kept hidden. Videos, voice memos, scanned documents, possibly names. It was his insurance policy. He didn't trust anyone, not even his own partners." Marcus hesitated. "If it's that dangerous, why didn't he destroy it?" "Guilt," Elijah said, "and fear. He wanted to believe someone would one day do the right thing." Marcus's hands were shaking as he reached for his laptop. He plugged in the memory stick. The screen flickered. A folder appeared. Concordia Files, Confidential. Inside were dozens of subfolders, labeled with years, countries, and code names. Some had red tags, some were locked, and at the top, a single video titled Confession, H. Hale. Marcus opened it. The screen showed his father, older, tired, unshaven. He sat alone in what looked like a hotel room. A single lamp lit his face. "If you're watching this, Marcus, it means I'm dead, and that you've heard enough to wonder if any of it's true." He looked into the camera. "I don't have excuses. I only have what happened. For the next 10 minutes, Henry Hale confessed to stealing medications meant for war victims, to signing off on medical trials without proper consent, to watching children die because it served a bigger financial game. He spoke of secret meetings in embassies, dirty contracts with military leaders, and his betrayal of Elijah. "He tried to stop me," Henry said, his voice breaking. "He believed in the oath. I sold mine for money and power." Marcus felt his stomach twist. His father was crying in the video. "I tried to bury it, but it haunts me. Every day I see their faces. Asha, the boy in Sudan, the mother in El Salvador. I see them when I sleep. I can't change the past, but maybe you can change the future." The screen faded to black. Marcus sat in silence. The man he had looked up to had failed every sacred duty a doctor held. "I thought he was cold," Marcus whispered. "I never knew he was carrying this much guilt." Elijah nodded slowly. "He tried to silence me, but in the end, he couldn't silence himself." Marcus closed the laptop and rubbed his temples. "So, what do we do now?" Elijah's voice hardened. "We expose it. But how? If what you're saying is true, these people won't just let the truth out. They'll come after us. They already are." Later that night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He lay on the couch while Elijah took the guest room. The storm outside had slowed, but his thoughts were in chaos. At 2:17 a.m., he heard something, a low click, the sound of metal. He sat up instantly, heart pounding. Another click from the back door. Marcus tiptoed toward the kitchen, grabbed the baseball bat he kept by the fridge, and peeked out the window. A dark figure was crouched near the back lock. Marcus stepped backward and bumped into Elijah, who was already up, holding a small pistol. Marcus jumped. "You have a gun." "I've had threats on my life for years," Elijah said calmly. "You don't survive this long by being naive." They moved together. Elijah opened the back door quickly and aimed. The figure spun and ran. "Don't shoot!" Marcus yelled, but Elijah didn't shoot. He chased. Marcus followed. The figure sprinted through the snow, ducked behind Marcus's garage, then bolted toward the woods beyond the property. Elijah was faster. He tackled the intruder to the ground. Marcus ran up behind, then panting. "Who is it?" They pulled off the intruder's ski mask. A girl, young, maybe 19 or 20, pale skin, sharp eyes, and terrified. She squirmed in Elijah's grip. "Please, I wasn't going to hurt anyone." "Who sent you?" Elijah barked. "I wasn't sent," she yelled. "I was trying to warn you." They both froze. "Warn us?" Marcus asked. She nodded quickly, breathing hard. "They know you opened the lockbox. You're not safe, neither of you." Marcus helped her sit up. Elijah was still tense. "What's your name?" Marcus asked. "Lena," she said. "Lena Samuels. I used to work for your father. Back inside." She sipped hot tea, her hands trembling. "I was an assistant at one of his shell companies. I didn't know what it really was at first. I thought I was helping coordinate medical outreach in South America. But I saw things. Payments to people with no names, cargo logs for shipments that didn't match the manifest." "Why didn't you go to the police?" Marcus asked. "I did," she whispered. 3 months ago. The next day my apartment was trashed. My friend disappeared. I went underground." "And why come here now?" Elijah asked. She looked at Marcus. "Because Henry said you might one day need help. He left me a note before he died, with your address." Marcus leaned forward. "You knew he was dead before I did." Lena nodded. "He was murdered." Marcus's heart skipped. "No, his lawyer said it was a stroke." Lena shook her head. "I saw his autopsy report. It was forged. Henry Hale didn't die of natural causes. He was poisoned, small dose, delayed reaction." Silence fell over the room like a heavy curtain. "They killed him," Marcus said, "to keep him quiet." Elijah looked grim. "And now they're coming for us." The next morning, Marcus went through the rest of the files on the memory stick. The names involved weren't just criminals. They were government officials, CEOs, board members of major pharmaceutical companies. The corruption reached everywhere. Marcus felt sick. He looked at Elijah. Even if we take this to the press, they'll bury it. Elijah didn't answer. Lena spoke instead. Not if we release everything at once. Digitally, everywhere. News, sites, public forums, whistleblower channels, all at the same time. And then what? Marcus asked. Go into hiding? Hope no one finds us? You don't get it, Lena said. This isn't just about your father. This is about people who've profited off of death for decades. Elijah looked at Marcus. The question is, are you ready to lose everything? Because that's what it might cost. Marcus looked around at his home, the framed degrees, the family photos. The world he had built. He didn't answer immediately. Then he opened his laptop, opened a secure channel, and uploaded the first document to a hidden cloud server. Let's finish what my father couldn't, he said. Later that night, Lena handed Marcus a phone. I got a message from one of my contacts. Someone wants to meet you, says they used to work with your father, says he has information that will blow this open. Who? Marcus asked. Lena hesitated. He wouldn't give a name, only a location. A trap? Elijah asked. Maybe, she said, but if it's real, it could be huge. Marcus thought for a moment. Where? She slid over a slip of paper. It read, Meet me at 11:45 p.m., Coldridge Cemetery, row 7, look for the angel statue. Elijah groaned. Cemetery at midnight? That's straight out of a horror movie. Marcus pocketed the note. I'm going. At 11:43 p.m., Marcus stood in the snow between headstones. The cemetery was silent. He found row 7, walked past each grave. Then he saw it, the angel statue, wings stretched upward, face pointed to the sky, and in front of it, a figure stood waiting, tall, long coat, hands in pockets. Marcus approached slowly. Are you the one who sent the message? The man turned. Marcus froze. He knew that face. He had seen it before, in a photo, years ago, not with his father, but in his own childhood album. The man smiled faintly. Hello, Marcus. Marcus's voice cracked. Who are you? The man stepped forward. I'm your uncle, he said, your father's brother, and you have no idea how deep this goes. Shadows of the past. The cemetery air was sharp, every breath a mist in the cold night as Marcus faced the stranger. His uncle. The word hung between them like a ghost. Marcus's heart hammered, mind racing back to old family albums, half-forgotten memories, and the emptiness he'd never understood. How could this man be real? How could he be family? The man's eyes, dark and steady, held a familiarity Marcus couldn't ignore. I'm Daniel Hale, the man said softly, your father's younger brother. Marcus's voice caught. Why now? Why reach out after all these years? Daniel glanced over his shoulder, cautious. Because the past isn't done with us. And you're in deeper than you realize. They moved to a bench beneath a bare oak tree, snow settling on the branches like frozen tears. Daniel explained the fractured family story Marcus never knew. Henry Hale, their father, was not the perfect man Marcus imagined. He was ruthless, yes, but also trapped. Dad got in too deep, Daniel said. He made enemies in places that don't forgive mistakes. When you saved that stranger, you stepped into a war your father started. Marcus shook his head, trying to digest. I thought the ledger and the files were just dirty money and corrupt deals. But it's worse. Daniel's voice dropped. Your father wasn't just a cog in a machine. He was at the heart of an operation that trafficked more than drugs and lies. People. Marcus felt bile rise. What do you mean? Daniel pulled out an old photograph, yellowed with time. It showed a young Henry Hale standing beside a man Marcus recognized instantly, the billionaire who had come to his rescue during the snowstorm. Your father's partner, Daniel said. Grimly. Marcus stared. That man isn't just rich, Daniel said. He's the head of something called the Concordia Network. Daniel's words sent a chill deeper than the snow. The billionaire, David Crow, was connected to his father's darkest secrets. The Concordia Network, Daniel said, is a shadow syndicate. They deal in everything: money laundering, pharmaceutical fraud, arms dealing, and worse. Marcus's mind flashed to the video message his father left behind. Was this the bigger game Henry spoke of? Daniel's voice was urgent. Your father wanted out. He tried to expose them. That's why he was killed. Marcus clenched his fists. And now they want you gone too, Daniel said. Why help me? Marcus asked, suspicion tightening his chest. Daniel's eyes softened. Because you're family, and because I want to finish what Henry started. Back at Marcus's house, the atmosphere was heavy. Elijah and Lena had been waiting, tense but alert. Marcus introduced Daniel carefully. Elijah eyed him warily. Why should we trust him? Elijah asked. Daniel looked Elijah in the eye. Because I know the network's methods better than anyone. I left that life years ago. Lena's gaze lingered on Daniel. I don't like secrets, she said. We're already risking everything. Daniel nodded. I'm not here to add risks. I'm here to help you fight. The four of them sat around Marcus's kitchen table, plans unfolding like fragile threads. Daniel explained the network's reach was global and ruthless. They had eyes everywhere. Surveillance, informants, corrupt officials. We need to act fast, Daniel said. If you want to expose this, you'll need more than just files. You'll need proof that can't be ignored. Marcus looked at the confession video, the ledger, and the memory stick. What about Crow? Marcus asked. Why did he save me during the snowstorm? Was it a trap? Daniel shook his head. No, Crow is complicated. He's not on our side, but he's not the enemy you think. What do you mean? Marcus asked, confused. Daniel leaned forward. Crow's empire is built on lies, but he's also been playing a double game. He wants to control the network, but he's waiting for the right moment. Marcus's head spun. So, he saved me because he knows you're a threat to the network's future, but he also knows you might be the key to breaking it apart. Elijah frowned. This is a game of shadows. We have to be careful who we trust. The next days were a whirlwind of tension. Marcus juggled hospital shifts while the others worked on decrypting the locked folders on the memory stick. Lena's contacts found ways to track suspicious activity near Marcus's home. One night, Marcus's phone buzzed with an anonymous message. They're watching. Don't trust Crow. Fear knotted in Marcus's stomach. He confronted Daniel. Are you hiding something? Daniel's eyes darkened. I know things about Crow no one else does, but some truths aren't safe to speak aloud. Marcus clenched his jaw. We need to be honest with each other. If we don't trust, we lose. Daniel nodded slowly. You're right. One evening, as snow dusted the streets outside, Marcus sat alone reviewing files. Suddenly his phone rang. No caller ID. He answered. A calm, chilling voice spoke. Dr. Hale, you've stirred a hornet's nest. Back off or you'll regret it. The line went dead. Marcus felt a cold wave of dread. His home, his family, everything was at risk. He looked out the window into the darkness. The fight had only just begun. The trap. Titans. Marcus stared at his phone, the chilling threat echoing in his mind like a storm warning. The quiet hum of the hospital felt distant, as if the shadows were closing in around him. He wasn't just fighting for truth anymore, he was fighting for his life. The warning. The next morning, Marcus met Daniel and Lena in a quiet cafe away from prying eyes. I'm serious, Marcus said, sliding his phone across the table. They know everything. Daniel's jaw tightened. The network doesn't forgive mistakes. We have to move fast. Lena nodded. I've contacted a journalist who specializes in exposing corruption. If we can get him on board, it'll help us. Daniel shook his head. That's too risky right now. The network controls the media too. Elijah joined them by video call, his face grim. We need undeniable proof. The files, the ledger, the video, all of it needs to be airtight. Crow's empire is built on deception. Exposing him means pulling the rug out from under people who'll kill to keep their secrets. Marcus looked at the folder again. We have to get inside Crow's headquarters. Lena gasped. That's madness. Marcus's voice was steady. It's the only way. The heist plan. They spent the next few days planning with precision. Daniel had contacts, former operatives who owed him favors, people who could break into secure places. Marcus's role was the wild card. As a doctor, he had access to the hospital's transportation fleet, ambulances, patient transfers, and medical deliveries. It was perfect cover. We'll get in disguised as a medical emergency team, Daniel explained. We'll have less suspicion. Lena set up communication lines. Elijah researched security shifts and blueprints. Marcus rehearsed his story. A critical patient transfer, code red, no questions asked, the night of the operation. The snow had returned, thick and unforgiving. Marcus's hands trembled inside his gloves as he climbed into the ambulance. His heart pounded louder than the engine. Daniel and Lena were already inside, their faces grim with focus. Remember, Daniel whispered, we get the files, get out, and stay alive. The ambulance pulled up near Crow's private estate, a fortress guarded by cameras and men in black. Marcus flashed the fake emergency pass. The guards hesitated, then waved them in. Inside, the corridors were cold and sterile. Elijah's voice crackled in Marcus's ear through the comms. Second floor east wing, server room. They moved like shadows. Marcus's pulse raced as he navigated the hallways, Lena hacking the door's security panel. The door beeped open. Inside was the server room, rows of blinking machines holding secrets. Lena plugged in a device, fingers flying over the keyboard. Suddenly, the alarm blared. Code red. Intrusion detected. Panic surged through Marcus. Abort, Daniel hissed, but Lena wasn't done. Almost there. Seconds stretched into eternity. Then the device beeped. Download complete. The escape. The lights flickered. Footsteps pounded. Outside the door, Marcus shoved a chair against it. Daniel and Lena prepared for a fight. The door burst open. Men in black rushed in. Marcus fought off one attacker, heart hammering, breath ragged. Go! I'll cover, Daniel shouted. Marcus dragged Lena toward the stairs. They sprinted down, alarms blaring, guards close behind. The snowstorm outside was a frozen wall. Marcus's fingers were numb, breath coming in gasps as they dove into the ambulance. Elijah's voice was calm but tense. We have the files. Get out of there! The engine roared, tires spinning in the snow as they raced away. Back in safe house, the team gathered in a cramped hidden room. Lena quickly started decrypting the files. Hours later, the truth unfolded. The network's operations were monstrous. They trafficked illegal drugs, falsified medical records, smuggled weapons, and worse. Crow's name appeared in multiple files, linking him to crimes that shocked Marcus. But buried deep was something darker, a ledger of people, names with dates and amounts, human trafficking. Lena whispered. Marcus's stomach turned. The network had used medical transports to smuggle victims, and Marcus, unwittingly, had crossed paths with it. The betrayal. Suddenly, the door burst open. Armed men flooded the room. Marcus froze. Daniel pushed him behind a desk. A voice boomed. Thought you could run from us? David Crow stepped in, calm but lethal. Marcus's heart dropped. Crow smiled coldly. You're more dangerous than I thought. Daniel lunged forward but was grabbed. Lena shouted, Marcus, run! But Marcus stood his ground. I'm not afraid, he said. Crow circled him like a predator. You saved a stranger in a snowstorm. Marcus's jaw tightened. That was no coincidence. Crow laughed. It was a test, and you failed. The truth revealed. Crow leaned close. Your father died because he wanted to destroy me. Marcus swallowed hard. Crow's eyes were like ice. But I saved you to see if you were worthy. Marcus felt rage boil. You're sick. Crow smiled. You don't understand yet, but you will. Suddenly, a shot rang out. Chaos exploded. Daniel tackled one attacker. Marcus grabbed Lena's hand. Now! They dove through a back door. The sounds of pursuit behind them. Aftermath safe but shaken. Marcus collapsed. Lena looked at him. "We're not done." Daniel nodded. "This is bigger than any of us imagined." Marcus's phone buzzed again. Message from an unknown number. "This is just the beginning. Watch your back." The reckoning and the awakening. The cold dawn seeped through the cracks of the safe house, the pale light revealing the exhausted faces of Marcus, Lena, and Daniel. The weight of the past week settled heavily in the room. Outside, the world was still oblivious to the storm brewing beneath its calm surface. Marcus stared at the screen, the decrypted files glaring back at him, a chilling reminder of everything he had uncovered. Names, dates, crimes, betrayals. His life had been pulled into a web of lies he never knew existed. The final plan. "We can't just hide anymore," Marcus said, voice steady but filled with fire. "Crow's threats. They're meant to break us, but we're closer than ever." Daniel nodded. "The media blackout won't hold if we strike now. We leak the evidence to every major outlet, every government watchdog." Lena looked up from her laptop. "I've arranged a meeting with the journalist I mentioned, the one who specializes in stories like this. He's ready to go public." Marcus's heart pounded. The moment of truth was near. Facing the past before moving forward, Marcus needed clarity. He returned to his father's old apartment, a place he hadn't visited since his father's mysterious death years ago. The dusty room felt frozen in time. Among scattered papers and photos, Marcus found a hidden journal. His father's handwriting was hurried but clear. "I write this, not knowing if I will live to see justice. Crow is more dangerous than anyone can imagine. He will stop at nothing. To protect his empire. Marcus, if you find this, be strong. Find the truth. Find the light." Tears blurred Marcus's vision. "I won't let you down, Dad," he whispered. The journalist and the broadcast that evening. They met with the journalist, Samuel Price, a man with sharp eyes and a reputation for fearless reporting. Samuel had prepared the story, armed with the files and witness testimonies. "The world needs to know," Samuel said, "but Crow's influence runs deep. Expect backlash." As the news went live, social media erupted. Crow's empire was exposed. Trafficking rings, bribery, corruption in hospitals, fake identities, and even the deaths his network covered up. The network strikes back within hours. The team's safe house was breached again. This time the attackers were merciless and better armed. Marcus barely escaped with Lena and Daniel through a hidden tunnel, but the experience left them shaken. "We need to disappear," Lena urged. "They're hunting us like animals." Marcus's phone buzzed with a new message. "You exposed the truth, but the fight is far from over. Prepare for the fallout." The fallout. The news sparked outrage worldwide. Authorities launched investigations, arrests followed. Crow's network began to crumble, but Marcus learned that justice came with a cost. His closest allies were threatened. Daniel's family was targeted. Lena's identity was compromised. Marcus's own medical license was suspended under suspicious allegations. The betrayal uncovered. Just when it seemed victory was within reach, Marcus received a devastating call. Elijah, he was working with Crow all along. The revelation hit like a bullet. Elijah, their trusted ally, had been feeding information to Crow. The betrayal stung deeper than any wound. The final confrontation determined to end it. Marcus arranged a meeting with Elijah at a neutral location, a deserted warehouse by the docks. The air was thick with tension. Elijah's face was unreadable. "You think you're the hero," he sneered. "But you're just a pawn." Marcus's voice was calm but cold. "Why, Elijah? Why betray us?" Elijah shrugged. "Power, survival. You wouldn't understand." "You killed my father's chance at justice," Marcus said, voice shaking. Elijah smiled darkly. Your father lost because he was weak, Marcus stepped forward. Not weak, brave, and I will finish what he started. The confrontation ended with Elijah fleeing into the shadows, but Marcus felt a final weight lift off his shoulders. Healing and transformation, weeks passed. Marcus returned to his hospital, now cleared of all allegations after a thorough investigation. Crow's empire was broken. Marcus visited his father's grave, laying flowers and whispering a promise. I'll rebuild, not just for me, but for everyone who suffered. The lesson in the quiet that followed the storm, Marcus understood the deepest truth. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find who you really are. He had lost trust, safety, and peace, but he had gained courage, clarity, and a purpose beyond himself. Epilogue. A new dawn months later, Marcus stood on the hospital rooftop, looking at the city waking up beneath the early sun. His phone buzzed, a new message from an unknown number. He smiled. This time, it was a message of hope. Thank you. Marcus took a deep breath, ready for whatever came next. The end final notes. The story ties up all major plot lines. The truth about Crow, the betrayal by Elijah, the fallout, and Marcus's emotional growth. The ending offers closure and a deep lesson about resilience, courage, and transformation. The tone remains emotionally engaging and natural for your global audience, suspenseful and satisfying, with a hopeful yet realistic conclusion.